Hello. Hello. Hold on. Lips are getting dry. My lips are dry as fuck. Anyways. Hey guys. Welcome to another live She Knows Arsenal. Another transfer show. Things are happening, guys. So we need to talk about it. I was like, the last couple of days, I was like, I need to go live like ASAP because there's so much happening. But I just didn't have like a moment to, where I could like actually dedicate time. But like now we're ready to go. So I'm excited. Make sure you guys are in the chat letting me know how you guys are thinking and feeling. We're going to be talking about several different things. Things are happening in terms of a winger. It looks like it's almost like confirmed that Arsenal are going to bring in an attacker, which is great. It's like Beckham's hair is everywhere. I'm so sorry, y'all. It's all over me. It's all over everything. Also, Fabio, your girl's going to be selling your stocks. It looks like we lost. I lost. And we will talk about it. Also, and what that means for Ethan, because Ethan's basically the reason. So, which is crazy. And also Ramsdale, a loan with a potential like option to buy if I think it's Southampton are going to stay up. So there we go. But make sure you guys are in the chat letting me know how you guys are thinking and feeling. I'm about to do the thing that I did the other day. I know you guys are going to hate me for it, but my food was delivered and I need to go get it in a second. So yeah, I'll go get it in like 5 minutes or so. I won't eat on here. It's not mukbang or whatever, but yeah, your girl was hungry and I don't know why I just like ordered right before we went live and it came like very quickly. But yeah, let's see who's all in here. Sai says girlfriends shed more hair than dogs. I mean, I cannot deny that there's always like hair all over the place, like in the house. Some like the white hair though is definitely Bex's, but my hair is everywhere too. TB says NICO ain't coming, and the way we move slow, we ain't taking 8 days to complete it unless we splash wages. I says TB. Could you explain what you mean unbalanced at the front? I think you guys are talking to each other. Sparata says, anyone else concerned? We only have 6 midfielders, including 17-year-old young Waneri. O'Malley says, pound for pound, Fabio could turn out to be one of the worst signings in Arsenal history. He cost 35 million and has given us 3 goals and 9 assists. Nobody will be worse of a signing than Pepe. It would take a lot for Fabio Vieira to be significantly less. Because one was bought as like a squad player and the other one was supposed to be a starter and take us to the next level and did none of that. So I think Fabio, even if it's like, I get it, he only scored 3 goals and got 9 assists, but he like hasn't even played any first team football. And so he needs to go and develop. Like I've said this a million freaking times, and I don't think people listen like at all. When we bought Fabio Vieira, he really didn't have very much first team experience. He had just come out of the academy and started to play for Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz, remember, had just left to go to Liverpool in January. He kind of took that spot, but still wasn't like a complete starter. And that was we bought him and he only had first team experience for like about 6 months. So it's not like he had been playing for years and then we picked him up. It was probably a poor signing for like where we were. I don't think Fabio Vieira is a bad player. In fact, I think he'll go back to Porto and look just like he did when we bought him. But it just wasn't. Arteta can't figure out a way to get him integrated into the squad. And so he needs to go somewhere where he's going to play minutes because he's not a good right winger. He doesn't trust him in midfield. But, I mean, nobody can ever be worse of a signing than Pepe. Nobody. I'm sorry. I will never forget Pepe. Let's see. let's go down. Christian says, Nico signed a new contract and got the number 10. Takes a miracle to get him out this window. Mosquito says, hi, Jess. Sorry about Vieira. I like him a lot. He's always been good with assist penalties and good shot from outside. He deserved more space. Let's wait for Merino. And I think, when it comes down to what's important for this season, nothing is more important than having a squad where Arteta trusts the 16, 17, 18 players. And he didn't trust Fabio. Nobody can convince me that he trusted Fabio. I think Arteta, if he likes you, he plays you. If he trusts you, he plays you. I mean, he trusted Holding, so it's like if he trusts you, he will play you. But he didn't trust Fabio. I don't think he trusts Kivior, so these players just don't get enough playing time. And, I don't think Fabio Vieira needs to be playing, right wing minutes for us. I think, when you bring in Merino and Waneri has stepped up as a real option for us, it just made it so that there wasn't going to be any minutes where Fabio Vieira was going to play. That's why when, the first game, I was there when we played against Bournemouth in preseason, and I see us lining up and Fabio Vieira is on the right, I instantly was like, oh shit. I was like, he might actually be on the outs, and if you trust the player, you're going to play them in their right position. I think you get shunted out to right wing, it's not looking good. And so, yeah, I think Ethan rendered him pretty much useless, in the squad, unfortunately. And if Arteta doesn't trust you, he needs to go. Now, in terms of, I saw the comment that was saying, are you worried, or is anybody worried about having 6 midfielders? I think we get too bogged down in quantity instead of quality. I think we had more midfielders last season and probably would feel less confident in those options than we do going into the season with less. I feel more confident in Ethan contributing than I did with Fabio Vieira and Emil, and that may sound like, oh my gosh, how can you say that? But I had already seen what those two look like within our team. They did not look good in midfield. They did not add enough in midfield. They didn't have enough presence, so those two, I always said that one good player would be better than having Fabio and Emil, fighting it out for that 8 position. I think Ethan has showed in a short period of time that he's much more suited to being Odegaard's backup and one of the options on the left. So, I think that adds something. And then having Merino, an experienced, 28-year-old player that can play right center mid, left center mid, even a little bit of DM, gives us more cover than, again, Emil and Fabio would. So I get it. It's numbers wise, it doesn't feel great, but genuinely the quality is so much better because you actually have players that are going to contribute that Arteta will trust. He's going to trust Merino right off the bat. You have Jorginho, who he trusts. He trusts Partey, Declan, Odegaard. I think the midfield group being smaller doesn't necessarily mean it's weaker. And I'm a big advocate of stripping down the squad and having more quality instead of quantity. I think there's just sometimes there's a lot more people and they're not adding anything, So I'm a big advocate of stripping down the squad, because what are they here for? Arteta's only gonna, you really think about it, Odegaard and Rice are gonna start every game. Unless they get injured, they're gonna start every single game. So there's one other spot being fought after, and then you have cup competitions and things like that. So I think 6, it's, what is it? Jorginho, Rice, Partey, Odegaard, Merino, and Ethan. Yeah. So that's 6. I think that's more than enough. I think that's more than enough. And then, you have other players like Trossard, or I know people are going to hate it, Havertz, that can cover in midfield if shit goes left, so, but there's just no reason to keep people around that are going to sit on the bench and collect dust when you could send him back to Porto and then potentially sell him next summer for a decent fee. His fee is just, it's we're not going to get anything if he's just sitting on our bench. And so it's so unfortunate, what's gone on with Fabio. but at the same time, you get hits and you get misses. He was definitely a miss. But I do envisage him going back to Porto and playing just fine. Hillary says, what happens when Martin gets hurt? Merino can play there, and so can Ethan. Foxy says, NICO doesn't need. Oh, yeah. I want to hold on to the NICO conversation in the winger in just a second. Let's see. Hillary says Fabio has never been given a real chance in his real position, which is where Martin plays. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that there's a reason for that. There's a reason why Fabio was never really trusted to play in midfield that often. It's because he's so inconsistent. And so I would imagine that the first chance that Arteta has an opportunity to rest Odegaard, Ethan will play there. Arteta clearly rates and trusts Ethan more than he ever did Fabio. So he's the backup. And that's basically, what Ornstein had said when he, put out the news on Fabio, which, for me was like a little bit of a shocker, just because I wasn't prepared for this to come out, but Porto agree a deal to re-sign Fabio Vieira on loan from Arsenal, not in AFC squad for Aston Villa, as Porto finalized to bring the midfielder back after 2022 sale. Merino arrival plus Nwaneri rise reduces minutes, and the 24-year-old needs regular action. So, I mean, if you just read between the lines there, it's Arteta basically trusts Merino and Ethan to cover those 8 positions. And I think the combination of those two are better than Emile Smith-Rowe and Fabio from last season, to be honest. So, yeah. Let's see. TB says, I don't trust Ethan enough to control games. I mean, listen, you can't have it both ways. You can't have it, I want young players to be integrated in. I want Ethan to stay and not given an opportunity to learn on the job. So, I mean, if you were to lose Odegaard, I don't think Arteta's first choice would be to throw Ethan in, but I do think in smaller cup games, he is a really good option for that position. So again, I think people are overthinking it just a little bit. It's like sometimes people talk out of both sides of their mouth. They want Ethan to stay. They want him to get minutes. They want him integrated. But if it were to come down to it, we have to use him. I don't trust him. I don't know if I can trust him. I don't know if I can trust him. How do you know you can trust him unless you play him? So what I will tell you is that Emile and Fabio wasn't controlling shit. So those two, they had to exit. Now let's see what Ethan can do. Sai says, I'm excited about what this means for Nwaneri. By the way, he actually said how he pronounces his name, Nwaneri, on that Premier League video. So hold that for everybody that was like, it's still wrong. It's still wrong. It's still wrong. He said Ethan Nwaneri. Ethan Nwaneri. So yeah. But I think Fabio, like ESR, lacked the mentality that Arteta requires. So yeah, I just don't think you can have it both ways. I just don't think you can have it both ways. Lynn says Fabio really hasn't been built for the Premier League. I also feel like it's twofold. He wasn't built for the Premier League, but also Arteta didn't set up the environment to allow him to be good at the position. Like, he's the number 10, and we quite literally don't play with number 10s. We don't play with number 10s. So he's never going to allow you to just sit in the pockets and pick passes. Like, all of our players are like, they all have to do their defensive responsibility, 11 men behind the ball type of thing. Even Odegaard's game has been modified to be more than a number 10. So it's no surprise that the 2 number 10s that we had in our team are no longer here, because we don't play that way, and we really needed more solid number, like a solid number 8. And Ethan, even as young as he is, he's not afraid to receive the ball deeper. He's more reliable on the ball. He has just more about his game than the other two. Zach says, I'm shocked. Jess had Fabio Vieira stocks. Yeah, I did. Listen, I believed in the talent. You get things wrong. Actually, I still think he's talented. I just don't think he's right for us. And I was really disappointed in the way that he came into preseason. He may have already known in preseason that Arsenal were looking to move him on. I'm pretty sure they will have spoken to him. So that actually that actually makes sense to me. You know, that the way that he played was indicative of like him probably already knowing he was on the way out. But I was watching him and I was like, this just doesn't look like somebody who's hungry to be here. And no matter how talented I think you are, if I don't think you're desperate to be at Arsenal, I'm like, kick rocks. You know, I don't know what to tell you. Harry says, bring Ruiz to back up Odegaard. Why would we need that? We have Merino. Victor says, yeah, we need to take some risk. Even Man City don't have like for like substitutes in their squad. Sometimes you need to gamble. I think you just need players that the manager actually trusts. And I think we have a much more balanced group than we did last season just by adding Merino in. You know, I would love to have moved on, you know, Partey and brought in like a Bruno Guimaraes or something like that. But at the bare minimum, we brought in a number 8 that can play on Odegaard's side, on the left-hand side, can pick those passes into Martinelli, can drop a little bit deeper, can support Rice when he's playing number 6, can also play number 6 himself. I think it's just, it really, that helps us so much. So yeah, that's just me though. Diallo says, but it's all good. Jess is closer to the correct pronunciation than before. She was butchering the name, but now at least it's much closer. He said that's how you say it. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Lynn says, Ethan, much more of a technical player than Fabio. I think Fabio's main skill set is his ability to pick a pass, but he never did enough to get to the point to pick the pass. Ethan at least will receive the ball in deeper positions, keep the ball, carry it, maneuver around other players. You know, it just seemed like Fabio was just almost like afraid to receive it in crowded areas, you know, and if you can't receive it in those crowded areas, sometimes you don't get the opportunity to make that pass that you want to make, you know. So I think it's not so much about Ethan being a more technical player. I just think that has more of the mentality and the tools to be successful in those positions in midfield. So yeah, Victor says if we can integrate Waneri in like what was done with Foden, I think he could shine. And I think we don't have to think that, you know, every single time somebody needs to be substituted off, that Waneri is going to get the minutes. I think people are starting to panic that, oh, we have a 17-year-old as like our main midfield backup. No, we don't. We have Merino, or Merino's going to start. If Merino doesn't start, or Merino does start, then you have the option to still move Rice into the 8 and to play Partey or Jorginho. Like, there's no reason to freak out. But in cup competitions, I expect to see Ethan. So yeah, and we'll never know what Ethan can do if he never gets an opportunity. So can't have it both ways. You can't have, I want this player in the team and I want him to stay, but I don't want to trust him to play the minutes. Leopold says we cannot expect top level performances from players who don't have an opportunity to rest. Buying the same level players is good for the squad. Harry says, I love that Arteta is now giving the youth an opportunity. We all see Pep doing that and it's working. And Michael says, Jess, I wouldn't take the Premier League pronouncing names seriously. A lot of players pronounce their own names wrong intentionally to make it easier for English commentary. I'm going to tell you right now, though, like, I'm not doing the Ethan thing anymore. You guys, if you don't like the way I pronounce it, I don't know what to tell you. It's just not something that we should be spending a whole bunch of time on. He said this is how he pronounces his name. I'm going to say it like that. And we're not going to go back and forth. Like, it just feels like a dead combo at this stage. What more do you want? You know, Victor says if we can, oh yeah, I already read that one. So Fabio's gone on a loan. It's a dry loan, guys. So that doesn't mean that like there's no obligation or anything like that. It is, you know, just a dry loan. So we'll see what happens from that. But at least, you know, he could play good minutes in a place where he's comfortable and at least maintain whatever value that he has. Now, Emil gone, Fabio gone. That doesn't necessarily mean anything for the winger, but the winger conversations have not been shut down. You know, Arsenal, the reports that are out there are saying that Arsenal. Oh, I thought that slow Sky Sports News got me. It got me. What was I saying? The reports that are out there are saying that Arsenal are still interested in NICO Williams and want to explore a deal for him. But if they were unable to get him, they would go for more of like a Trossard type signing. So, I know people are like, we're never going to get NICO Williams. I'm not 100%. I think that it would be really tough to get him for the reasons that we already know. He seems like he doesn't want to leave Spain. Difficult to get him out of Bilbao. Got the number 10, release clause. There's a lot of different things. But I would say if I would want Arteta and Edu to explore this as much as possible, because I think we need a new starting left winger. That's how I feel. I know people are going to be like, I can't believe you said it. It's not the first time that I've said it. So you must be new. I think we need a new starting left winger, or at least somebody on the same level as Martinelli and Xhaka. I think Arteta has tried more than once to bring a player of this level in. So I would like him to at least explore it and try as hard as you can. I can accept that the guy doesn't want to leave, but at least let's give it a good try. Try to convince him. I'm sure that if we're trying to convince him and want to explore a deal, we have the money for the release clause. So just at least try it. If it doesn't work, that's fine, but you cannot bring in no one. And that's why I'm happy to at least see that even if you can't get NICO Williams, Arsenal will try to get somebody in. Now, it all depends on who that person is. Sterling has been ruled out. We've been linked to Sane. Not sure Rafinha will actually leave. He's been named one of the captains at Barcelona. Coman, I don't want him. I'm sorry. If that's the person that we get, you might get a little meltdown from me. I'm not even going to lie. But we cannot afford not to bring in anyone. So it is a good thing that we're hearing the reports that we're going to get somebody in, and Arsenal still want to make that happen. But let's just dream for just a second. If we were able to bring in NICO Williams, rivals would choke. They would absolutely choke, So, yeah, I'm happy that things are happening. Fabio going out of the blue, ESR out, and Nketiah still on his way out, Ramsdale on his way out, and Arsenal are still looking forward to bringing somebody in. It's just a matter of who it is, and maybe it's somebody that we haven't even talked about yet. But you guys, while you guys get your I want to hear your comments, but I also want to know who you want to come in. Realistic options outside of NICO Williams. I want you guys to put that in the chat while I go get my food from outside. Give me 1 second. All right. I got it. Yeah, I'm going to open it and eat a fry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I got fried catfish this time from the place around the corner. I know that's right. It's good. Bex is losing his mind. Okay. Anyways. Okay. Oh. Sorry. Somebody said I had McDonald's yesterday. Or today. It just got done. I had McDonald's yesterday. So bad. It's so bad. I shouldn't have had McDonald's. I came home from recording a podcast and I was like, I'm going to get McDonald's and I got a fish fillet and fries and a big Sprite. And I kid you not, I took one sip of that Sprite and I got the hiccups for like 40 minutes nonstop. I couldn't even eat my food. Like, it was just ridiculous. Like, I don't know what it is. McDonald's sodas are so good and carbonated, but I got like the worst like hiccups I've ever had in my whole life. Top Shot says hot sauce on that catfish, hot sauce and tartar sauce, like always. Let's be serious. So yeah, but let's go ahead and get into it. I want to hear your guys's who you guys want. I see Mbomo. That is definitely somebody that he is one of my favorite Premier League players. Like, you guys know I love a little mid-table baller. Is he ready to step up to a team that is fighting for a title? You know, does he get us closer to where we want to be? You know, would he want to leave Brentford without, you know, a starting spot? I don't know. You know, so there's all those questions. And I think Brentford would want a big chunk of money for him. I think we'd be hard pressed to get him out of there like lower than 40. Like, I think it's going to be 40, 50, you know, for Mbomo. So, but I love Mbomo. And I don't necessarily know if I like 100% feel like he's an Arsenal player, but I love him. You know, he would step straight in and be ready to go. So yeah. Let's see. Harry says Rafael Leao would be great on the left. I don't think he's leaving AC Milan, but fair enough. Let's see. Rodrigo, Matoma, Eze. Let's see. Adingra. Mbappe. You know, that makes total sense. We're definitely, you know, going to be able to do that. Lynn says Eze with cash for Kivior. Kivior wants to go back to Italy. He's not going to do us any favors. If he's not going to a top Italian team, we're going to be stuck with him. Unfortunately. Boy, hit the door. Now he's pretending like he can't get out. Go ahead, honey. You know how to open the door. Let's see. Yeah, so those are really good options. Rodrigo, I don't think is leaving Real Madrid, but if there was any fallout from Real Madrid, I would take what they offer. I like Brahim Diaz. I think he's really good. I would take him. Adingra, a good like up and coming. You would imagine that Brentford or Brighton would need to move on one of these wingers. They have so many, so maybe they're stockpiling, knowing that people will come for like Adingra or even Matoma. Matoma's an interesting one. I don't know if he has enough end product, but I think his dribbling ability is really good to for like deep blocks and stuff like that. And we don't have a top quality 1v1 specialist. So Matoma would add that. Adingra can go across the front three and is like tricky, pacey winger. Mbomo, we've already spoken about. Eze is kind of like the number 10, but can also play on the wing. I don't know if he solves our problems on the wing because I just feel like he's a better version of Emil, and Arteta stopped using him on the wing. But he's just a good player, you know? So, I mean, at the end of the day, just giving you new players or good players, you know? So get talent on the pitch and it'll solve itself for the most part, you know? So Eze, you know, let's see, who else did you guys say? Rafinha's dead, y'all. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Abdallah says, Jess, how about Oyarzabal from Real Sociedad? I was talking to my friend about Real Sociedad this morning, and I was like, honestly, I think they might have a heart attack if anybody comes for any more of their players right now. Genuinely. Like, they almost died when Liverpool came in for Zubamendi. We took Merino from them. They lost De Normand as well. Or Lenormand. I think it's Lenormand. DeNormand? No, Lenormand. Yeah, they lost him too. And then, you know, if somebody came for Oyarzabal or Kubo, I think that they would just jump off of a cliff. Seriously. Like, because they cannot afford to like reinvest and like get those players in. So I wouldn't want Oyarzabal. I don't think he solves our problems on the wing. And I just don't think Real Sociedad are going to sell any more players in this window. But I hear you. Christian says, can Rashford play left wing? I'm pretty sure that's his position. Kevin says, Lamine Yamal, period. Let's just go to Barcelona and ask them for Lamine Yamal. Why haven't I thought of that? That is so. Why hasn't Edu gone over there yet? Go over there and ask them. I'm sure. What would he cost? 260 million? What's his release clause? $1 billion? I'm sure we can afford that. Let's just go do that. Why not? Talk Politics says Yasser Asprilla from Watford. I think he's already going to Girona, which means he's going to City. Victor says Anthony Gordon. You know what's weird? I rate him, but I wouldn't want him at Arsenal. Is that weird? I don't know. I just can't see him in the kit. Really good player, and I don't think Newcastle early on in the window said the players that they were like desperate to keep were Gordon and Isak, not even Bruno Guimaraes. So I don't think this late in the window they would move him on. Or yeah, and also it's the fee. Like Stone is saying, Anthony Gordon would cost like 80 million. He would cost a lot. And yeah, I can't see it, but he's a good player. Gus says Leao. You guys have like an obsession with Rafael Leao that I do not share. But I hear you. John says, you're so right, Jess. Fabio not working isn't to do with his size. Look at Bernardo and Gundogan, exactly same profile. There wasn't space in our team and he didn't get a chance. I don't believe the whole size and weakness and couldn't stand up to the Prem. I don't think he had the mentality to get on the ball and make things happen. And I don't think Arteta, like on the other side of the relationship, made sure that when Fabio was in, that the game was more suited to him. I think he exposed his weaknesses rather than made him look better. And so I just think it didn't work out. I think it's just that simple, but at that 35 million, in the window where we could have gotten, Lucas Paquetá for the same amount, or we could have gotten Tielemans on a free, you have to look at that as like a poor signing. I don't think it's as bad as Pepe, or our worst of life. I don't think that. I think we've had some really poor signings over the years that would go way above Fabio Vieira, if we're being honest. But I am really disappointed at the way that it has happened, because it really has been a flop, and this is supposed to be like a big season for him. And he didn't even it's just over, it's still a loan, but I would imagine that this is a loan with the idea to keep the value up so that he can be moved on. So yeah, Happy Days says Gordon would be a great signing. Diallo says, Jess, what about Luis Openda? He gives Bundesliga tax to me. I don't like him. I'm not even going to hold you. You know how you just have players where you're just like, I just, no. I think, no, I'm okay. I'm good. Yeah. Robert says, I really admire Johan Bakayoko as Saka's understudy. Really like that player. When we played against him, I thought he was great. Always advocated for us going after him. My biggest issue is that multiple times in the media during this window, he said he doesn't want to move to a mid-table Premier League side. He wants to move to a top team, which would mean Arsenal, Liverpool, City, a Champions League level team. But he also wants to start. He's made that abundantly clear. You're not starting at Liverpool and you're not starting at Arsenal and you're probably not starting at City. So it's like he's delaying his move, I think, for the perfect opportunity. Maybe next season when Salah leaves Liverpool, they'll replace him with Bakayoko. But I think he's one of those that's going to be just very hard to, convince that Arsenal is the right place for him, because we all know Saka's going to play every minute. We know he's going to play every minute. So yeah. Let's see. Mr. Happy says it's annoying that NICO doesn't want to leave Bilbao. They don't even qualify for UCL. I just think, you're there with your brother. I think one of the bigger reasons why he's not desperate to leave is because he's not in search of high wages. I think players that are looking to, improve their lifestyle or, provide for their family, are really eager to get to that next big contract. He is not in that position. He is already on 200,000 pounds per week, and wherever he would move, they would just add on to that. But 200,000 pounds per week is what like Saka and them are earning for us, So I think, being there with your brother, being in a really nice place, right? Because you're in, I mean, you don't really want to be leaving Bilbao, unless you're going to go somewhere like really special, because Basque country, and then you're already being paid, so I don't think he needs to be in any sort of rush. It would just be nice if we could go over there with a 180 page dossier and convince him that we're the right place and you can always go to Barcelona later. So yeah, Bakir says Eze from Crystal Palace. Yeah. Jordan says Baris Yilmaz, just check him out. Big baller from Galatasaray. I've heard that name several times, but I haven't looked into him, so I will. Christian says Ansu Fati. I do not want that broke down guy anywhere near us. It wasn't too long ago where he was the Lamine Yamal, and now like Barcelona don't even want him. He had a pretty like forgettable loan at Brighton last season. I don't want him anywhere near us. No, thank you. Matoma, interesting one. I don't know. How much do you think Brighton would want for him? I think, Brighton do well to sell. So we'd have to be willing to part with a pretty big fee. I don't know. Maybe. Imran says, just how do you feel if Rodrigo comes in and shines, then Saka fell to the bench? He wouldn't, because his natural position is left wing. He's already being shunted out to the right-hand side because Vinny Jr. is obviously the preferred player. If he came to Arsenal, he'd play left wing, which is his natural position. So Saka would not fall to the bench. Martinelli would. So yeah, but that's just me. That's what I think would happen. Mr. Happy says profile we need is like Bakayoko, Barcola, Williams. Yeah, I think so too. I think there's a specific profile that we're looking at, and that's why when we certain players that we're linked to, or certain players that people put out there, I'm like, but are they solving the issue that we have in the wing position? I don't know if they necessarily do. We can't just get any winger. Jordan says Madwecki, hell freaking no. If he wasn't at Chelsea, I'd be like, yeah, but he's at Chelsea, so yeah. Top Shota says, apart from playing on the right, I'd consider Bailey. Can also play number 10. We'll need depth. We could use some Caribbean flavor. I think he has some like injury issues. So yeah, I would say no on that, but I get what you're saying. Harry says right wing, Zane, left wing, Adeyemi. Victor says, yeah, 170K, which is still a lot. And Sai says, I get it, mate. I could be well wrong, but I think I've seen something. I don't know who you're talking about. Are you talking about Noni? Maybe. What about Lookman? I think he's waiting on PSG, so there's that. But there's options out there. And I really do think, Arsenal are, they have somebody in mind. If it's not Nico Williams, they have somebody in mind. We don't know who that is, but I mean, I am super, super excited to see what we're going to do, because listen, we haven't bought an attacker in a while. I know somebody will say like Kai, but Kai was kind of like midfielder. He's listed as a midfielder on the website. So, just bringing in an attacker that's purely brought in just to make our attack better can be fun, depending on who it is, very much so depending on who it is. So yeah, there's 1,100 of you guys in here. I would imagine like so many of you guys are freeloading on Twitter. That's fine. 250 of you guys are watching here on YouTube though, so make sure you guys smash the likes and all that kind of stuff. I really appreciate you guys supporting the channel. It is free to like the channel, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss another show. Remember, we are doing live watch along tomorrow for the Villa game. For the Villa game. and player ratings immediately following after. So do not forget about that. I actually should put the link in here for you guys so you guys can sign up. So give me 1 second. Because I'm going to need support for this Villa game. I'm just going to tell you guys right now, I am going to need support for the Villa game. Okay, I don't know what's going on with this right now. Yeah, I'll just have to post it tomorrow. Just make sure you guys are subscribed so you get a notification, because I'll just put it in a post, the link to the watch along, because right now on TIFO it's not showing up for some reason, which is weird. Anyways, let's keep going. Callie says 3-1 to the Arsenal revenge game settings. Errol says your score. I actually am feeling a draw, but you know, that's just me, like a 2-2 or something like that. Yeah. So hopefully I'm wrong and we get a win, you know, because we really need one. I cannot do Emery Wars again. I just can't. Last but not least, I do want to talk about Ramsdale, because it looks like, I think it's Southampton. Now, Bournemouth decided, you know, not to pursue anything, I think, with Ramsdale, because they want to bring in Kepa, which good luck with that. Good luck with that. You know, if they'd rather take him, then that's fair enough. But Arsenal and Southampton are in talks over a loan deal for Aaron Ramsdale that could include a potential purchase if the Saints stay up. Wolves remain keen, and I don't know if Wolves are going to be able to, you know, come up with a good enough deal. But I think the best we can probably do is a loan with an option that becomes an obligation if they stay up. You know, Southampton, that would probably be the best option for us, you know, because for them and for us, I don't think we're just going to get a straight obligation. I think that they're going to want to know that they're going to stay up with him. But yeah, it's interesting because, you know, a goalkeeper that, you know, a lot of Arsenal fans were saying that was the most valuable keeper, you know, in the world just like 2 years ago, is now finding it very difficult to even find anybody to be interested. And the teams that are interested are bottom half teams. So yeah, it's tough, but I think Aaron will go on a loan with an option to one of these teams, either Wolves or Southampton, with some sort of, you know, thought process that if they stay up, we'll get some money for them. But that's how quickly things change. And I'll be honest, I don't actually think that this is all on Ramsdale. I think the way that we dealt with things, you know, had really damaged his profile last year. So yeah, but hopefully we get somebody interested. And I just know we're going to bring in that Juan Garcia guy, and we better negotiate for lower than that 30 million release clause. Period. Let's see. Robert says, but we have another Bakayo and Amari Cozier-Dewberry to develop for next season. For now, Jesus can cover right wing, and we work on a typical 9. Robert, where you been? Robert, honey, where you been? Cozier-Dewberry is no longer an Arsenal player. Cozier-Dewberry is a Brighton player. We do not have Cozier-Dewberry anymore. Where you been? Diallo says, thank you so much for your super chat. Says, losing ESR, Vieira and Eddie, we must sign an attacker. I think we will. It just, are we going to be jumping for joy? Are we going to be underwhelmed? I don't know. But hopefully Arsenal are saving their big one, you know, for the attacker. I would love to be pleasantly surprised. I really would. Foxy says Southampton, desperate for a keeper. McCarthy cost them against us, but they will be relegated, no goal threat. There's that. Philip says, unfortunately, he needs regular footy to keep his value up. Jackson says, Jess, I told you I had a weird feeling about a late swoop for Nico Williams. Well, I think if Arsenal felt like there was no chance, they wouldn't keep fucking around with it, you know, especially with only 8 days left. But equally, I'm pretty sure that they have a backup option that they can trigger pretty quickly, because Arsenal, they were working on the Merino deal since 2023. So a lot of this stuff is in the works before we even hear anything about it. And because Arteta has like a lot of the leaks, I wouldn't be surprised if something just came out of left field that we weren't even thinking about, or that they had more of a feeling on NICO Williams than people let on, but yeah. Let's see. Kamani says, please stop mentioning Rafinha in our chats. Harry says, 7 days left, Jess. Edu needs to cook real quick, really, really quick. Turn up the heat and let's get going. Talib says, Martinelli will become a team player playing behind Saka and we will sign a left wing. I think Martinelli really suits the role where he comes in late on in games. I think against like tired legs, I think that really suits him. And that may be, not the nicest thing to hear, but that's just my opinion. I could be totally wrong. He could completely change it around this season and I could look like the dumbest person on the planet. But I just feel like we need something different on that left-hand side. And he would really be like that sub that comes in that, you don't want to see in the 60th minute. I think he'd be great, as that. But as our out and out starter every single week, I'm feeling like we need something different, but could just be a lot of, recency bias based on last season. So yeah. Let's see. Errol says, Edu cooking something, Jess. Hopefully. Carol says, Martinelli will be gone in 2 seasons. Nate, thank you so much for your super chat. Says, what do you think about Partey, Merino, midfield? I get it that there is a certain section of this fan base that is desperate for Rice to not be the main guy or not to play because they're still upset that people wanted Partey gone or, whatever. They said that Rice had replaced him, but we will not see this midfield unless Rice is injured. We spent $100 million on one of the best DMs in the world. He's going to play. I think Odegaard and Rice's positions are pretty set. I think the one position that's not is the position that Merino will take, and it'll change based on who Arteta wants to play left center mid. If he wants Rice to play left center mid, then Partey will play, or Jorginho. If Rice drops back to the 6, Merino will play. But anybody who genuinely thinks that without and like unprovoked, Arteta is going to pick a midfield without his marquee biggest ever signing that was damn near our player of the season last season is smoking crack. Like seriously, like get your shit in line. Go see a doctor. Not necessarily you, Nate, but it's not happening. Now, in terms of would it work? Yeah, I think it will work. Partey, good player. Merino, good dual winner, somebody that can get in there and help Partey. It would give like kind of like 2022, 2023 vibes. I think it would work. Are we going to see it? No. Like, no. Come on now. Like, Rice is going to play. Let's be serious. But hey, Ivy says Rice is our starter. Partey is passed now. It will be leaving next summer. I know it's hard to like come to grips with it, and they're shooketh. People that just love Partey so much are shooketh because they're like, okay, now there's actually another grown-up in the room that could play at left 8, and that would mean that Rice would drop out to the 6. I am very excited about seeing what that midfield will look like, but I'm more excited to see I'm more excited to have another adult like midfielder that we can rely upon, that it's not like, we have Jorginho and we've had Partey for a while. We have Rice, but it's like last season, it was like, okay, so do we want to take a risk on Vieira? Do we want to take a risk on Emil? None of that really worked out, but adding Merino gives us like more, it just makes us seem more serious, So I'm excited about just having that option at the very least. We'll see how Arteta uses the group. But, I think Arteta also likes to hang on to his galaxy brain type shit for a while. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw still quite a bit of Rice playing in the left center mid to try to I don't want to say make a point, But you know how he is about like, I see this working, so I'm going to keep persisting. But at some stage, I think we will see Rice and Merino and Odegaard. So yeah, Victor says 1 average Euros performance from Rice, and now people are excluding him. It wasn't even just the Euros. It was, I just feel like there was like just a lot of nonsense last season about Partey versus Rice that didn't need to really be a thing. So yeah, I think it's just more like an obsession with Partey. Diallo says, I'm equally open to leaving the number 10 vacant until next summer. I think that's what we should do. If you're not bringing in a star, please leave that number 10 alone. And just maybe take number 14 and just put it on ice. In fact, hang it up in the Emirates just like they do basketball jerseys. Because listen, I don't know if anybody will ever be able to live up to that number 14. I really don't. But the number 10, let's just leave it for a while. Just leave it for a while. But yeah, Nico says, big up Jess, your Kivior and Fabio stocks have crashed. Nothing left to sell. They have crashed and burned, Nico. They have crashed and burned. I don't know what to do. I have to find somebody else to get behind. You guys know I'm Odegaard FC all day, every day. So them stocks are always going to go up, 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 up. Trossard, part of the FC as well. But yeah, the Fabio and Kivior, we got to sell those. So I don't know who else I'm going to get behind to be a part of my like little people that I back, probably Merino, because I've been very vocal about him being a good player for us. Foxy says Villa Arsenal, the late kickoff game tomorrow. Yeah, it's the 9:30 for me. So I think it is the later kickoff. I am #nervous. Leopold says Jess used to be a party girl. Yeah. But the thing is he had that one really good season and then he got injured again. And you guys know I'm hard about injuries. I'm very hard about injuries. I just feel like players that are not available enough hurt us in the long run, especially if they're meant to be starters. And so I've never said that I don't think Partey is like an exceptionally good player. But if I always have to preface it by when he's fit, I do feel like you can't ignore that. And so that irritated me to the point where I was like, we just need to move him on. Like anybody who's not fit enough for multiple seasons needs to be moved on, as far as I'm concerned. And he's not exempt from that. Jesus, if he can't stay fit this season, he's not exempt from that. ESR never was exempt from that. I just think it hurts us when people are just always unfit. Not to mention, I'm sorry, but it's really difficult to ignore the off the field stuff. He has a weird case and I don't know why he's around, so it's tough, but I'm honest with you guys about why I'm not the biggest Partey person anymore, but it's not about me not thinking he's a good player. You guys know I think he's a good player, but I don't want to have to preface everything, but by when he's fit. Like I need people that are going to be on the pitch, So yeah, Jordan says, I think Gundogan back at City has forced the board to have to react. I expect a busy last few days. Kelly Gunnar says Partey is an enigma. Man doesn't get hurt at Atletico. Comes to Arsenal, can't stay healthy for a month. It's tough. Kevin says, we'll buy Jokeris in January. Remember this chat. Natalie says, hello, everyone. Hello to you as well. Ian says, do you think we have a chance, any chance of another signing this window? I do. I think we'll sign some sort of attacker. We just don't know who it will be. And we don't know if it'll be like NICO Williams, who's going to be like a more starter, or if it's going to be more of like a Trossard type signing. I don't love the idea of a Trossard type signing because even though I love Trossard down, I feel like we need a starter. But I would rather get something rather than nothing. I don't think we can go into the season with the exact same group of attackers that we've had for a couple years. So yeah, I would love to bring in just somebody that just shakes it up, somebody that gives us something different, and whether it's more pace, somebody that's a little bit more direct, somebody that's a really good 1v1, idealistically somebody that can play on both sides. It's up to Edu to figure out who that person is. But in the end of the day, I just want somebody to come in. Period. Like I said, like if you offered me Sane on deadline day, I'd probably take it because I cannot see the same group again, you know? So, and that's not to say that they're not good. I think they're great, but I think, you know, we're one of the only teams that will not buy a new attacker. You know, we've like Arteta spent way less than his peers in the attacking, you know, attacking third. And I feel like, why not bring in somebody and shake things up, you know? Foxy says, can see NICO agreeing with Bilbao to play one more year with them at least. NICO says, would never happen, but would lose my mind if we signed Carvaskelia or whatever his name is. Kevin says, I'm jealous of the Savinho player that Man City got. Same. I thought he looked really, really good. Better than Doku. You know, he cooked Kukurea so badly. And I was like, I mean, that player, I mean, you have to take it with a grain of salt because they bought him from their feeder club. But still, like, you don't have to spend 100 million to improve your front line, you know, and I never believed that. So, and we have like Eddie and Reese, you know, so there's a lot of improvement that can go into the group at this stage, you know. So yeah, but let's see what else. Diallo says there is no way that we are signing 2 attackers in the next 8 days. No chance. Probably just one. And I would take that. Natalie says, who you want, Jess? I don't even know. I want Nico Williams, you know, but I'm probably not going to get him. You know, I like Bakayoko, but you'd have to convince him. I like Adingra, but, you know, how much is he going to cost? Maybe I'd take Matoma just for vibes, you know. It's hard to, I don't know, because nobody really seems like the perfect choice, you know. So, you know, but I'm open on this one. Just bring me somebody that can add something to the group that's different, you know. I'm gonna leave this one in Edu's hands. Not like it's not always in Edu's hands. I don't know why, like, I'm acting like I'm involved, because I'm not. So yeah, but yeah, I think we'll get one. And that in itself, I think, just like I said, you can get rid of 2 players and bring in one and be in a much better position if that player is so much closer to the group, or, you know, just has the dynamics or the attributes that you need that the other 2 don't have. So I know that it's like, we need a striker and a winger, but genuinely, if you replace Nketiah and Reece Nelson with somebody that, you know, has, you know, is much closer to the rest of the group, you're so much closer to where you want to be. So, and I just think we have too much deadwood and too much extra space. So yeah, let's just at least get one, you know. Tala says, hey, Jess, do you think Arsenal will sign a forward before deadline? Yes, I do. Bakir says, Lookman, Osimhen, Saka, Nigeria, triple danger. I don't think we're getting Osimhen, guys. I think we can put that one to the side, you know, to the side. I don't think we're going to get him. But maybe like a, you know, Lookman, if the PSG deal falls through, you know, maybe something like that. That wouldn't be bad. So yeah, we're just waiting to see what happens. But this has to be a short one because I got so much shit to do. I need to go to my parents' house. I need to pick up a check. I need to go to the store. Like, I got a whole bunch of shit to do before tomorrow. So this is going to be a short one. But I just wanted to hop on and say what's up and, you know, hold my L on Fabio Vieira. I'm holding it, you know, you know, selling my stocks. But, and also just to say, like, I'm excited about potentially getting an attacker, you know, so we'll see what happens. Merino is in the building. We didn't really get to touch on that, but Merino, done and dusted, on his way to London, or arrived in London, won't be there in time for Villa, but hopefully they'll announce him within the next 2 decades, you know, because it's taken so long to get this one over the line. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel. I will be up early to give you guys, you know, links and stuff to the watch along. So so you guys can be a part of that, because I'm going to need support. I'm going to need you guys on that watch along tomorrow. So look out for that link The code is Jessica. It's always Jessica. So, just in case you guys are like, oh, I have the link, but where's the code? It's always Jessica. It'll be on TIFO. And I will talk to you guys in the next one. Like and subscribe. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, guys. See you tomorrow.